Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Ferrer, your professor. Okay, good morning, class. So this will be your last video for the course. Our topic this morning is on development planning. But first, we have to define what is planning. Planning is the primary function of management, which focuses on the future course of action. So, as a primary managerial activity that specifies the objective to be achieved in the future, it also selects the alternative action to reach a defined objective. So because of this, planning involves defining the organization's goals or the desired result that you want to achieve. This also involves establishing an overall strategy for achieving goals or the plan of action that you're going to use to achieve a goal. And third is, it involves developing plans for organizational work activities. So we can now make a general definition of what planning is. It is the determination of future course of actions in advance, or it is the blueprint of action and operation. An author also defined it as an intellectual process which is concerned with deciding in advance what, when, why, how, and who shall do the work. Now, my next question is, why do managers plan? So there are 4 purposes of planning. First, it provides direction or a course of action to a management. Second is, planning reduces uncertainty or doubts or suspicion or the lack of sureness on what you are doing. Third, planning minimizes waste and redundancy. You are familiar with waste. When we say redundancy, this is those plans or actions that the management think are no longer needed or are no longer useful to use. And the fourth one is planning sets the standards for controlling, or in short, it sets standards or measures of progress, or if there's something that deviates from the norm, it brings corrective measures. Now let's discuss the elements of planning. One of its elements is the goals, or sometimes also called the objectives. Goals are desired outcomes for individuals, for groups, or the entire organizations. The same goals provide direction and evaluation performance criteria. The second is plans. Plans are documents that outline how goals are to be accomplished. It also describes how resources are to be allocated, and it establishes activity schedules in realizing those goals. So even though how planning is desirable or advantageous to an organization or to the management, There are also some issues which are being raised as far as planning is concerned. So here are some of the criticisms of planning. One is that planning may create rigidity. So because of the plan being laid down by the management, sometimes it is really difficult to go out or to go against the plan. So it's quite difficult to bend out of the rules being laid down. Second criticism is that plans cannot be developed for dynamic environments. As what we have observed today, changes are evident every day in our lives. So if a solid plan is being laid down, sometimes it is really difficult to adapt to some changes happening in an organization, brought about particularly by the external environment. Third issue is that formal plans cannot replace intuition and creativity. There are situations where uh, our intuition and creativity surpasses plans. I am speaking here of some instinctive feelings and imagination of people who are implementing the plan. Another is planning focuses managers' attention on today's competition, not on tomorrow's survival. Because usually plans are answer to current situation. And out of that, planners fail to see what might happen in the future. And another is formal planning reinforces today's success, which may lead to tomorrow's failure or lack of success in the future. That's what I am saying earlier, that because of of this formal planning, it might fail to address or to lead or to address some things that or some situation that might occur in the future, is because what we plan are those that reinforces our successes at present. Now let's talk of how local development can be laid down across local government units. When we say local development, it is an effective delivery tool and strategy that provide direction for physical development and accelerating economic growth in the local unit. That is, it's either by increasing production of economic goods and services available to the general population. The aim of this local development is to capture the aspirations and desire of the citizenry on such type and level of development that they want to attain or to achieve at a certain time. So in short, local development is a deliberate, rational and continuous effort of local government unit to accelerate the process of development by preparing a set of decisions, optimizing the use of local resources with active participation of the community. Always remember, class, that when we speak of development, we may mean growth or progress or some positive change occurring in a certain locality or nationally or even internationally. And when we talk of participation of the community, this refers on how the people in that specific area are engaged or are contributing in the achievement of the goal. Now let's proceed with the development planning process. So as mentioned earlier, no, development planning involves gathering and processing of data about the community. Second is determining and prioritizing the needs and problems to be addressed or ensured the field need of that particular community. And third is identifying development opportunities which can be harnessed towards the realization of a better quality of life. So those are the three general development planning. But I have also prepared a detailed processes on how this development planning can be done. So here are the steps in the planning process. One is establishment of objectives. Planning requires a systematic approach. It starts with the setting of goals and objectives to be achieved. And these objectives provide a rationale for undertaking various activities as well as it indicates the direction of efforts. And goals should be specified in qualitative terms. And always remember that objectives should be practical, meaning it can easily attain nor it can be implemented. Second is the establishment of planning premises. Planning premises are the assumptions about the shape of events in the future, and they serve as the basis of planning. Establishment of planning premises is concerned with determining where one tends to deviate from the actual plans and causes of such deviations. It is also to find out what obstacles are in their way of operations, or if it's business, in the way of business. The third is the choice of alternative course of action. So, when forecasts are available and premises are established, a number of alternative course of actions have to be considered. So, for this purpose, each and every alternative will be evaluated by weighing its pros and cons in the light of the resources available. So the merits as well as the consequences of this alternative must be examined before the choice is being made. And after objective and scientific evaluation, the best alternative is chosen. Fourth is the formulation of derivative plans. Derivative plans are the sub-plans or secondary plans which help in the achievement of main plan, while secondary plans will flow from the basic plan and derivative plans will indicate time schedule and the sequence of accomplishing various tasks. Then, of course, next is securing cooperation. After the plans have been determined, it is necessary, rather advisable, no, to take subordinates or those who have to implement these plans into confidence. And finally, is the follow-up or the appraisal of plans. So, meaning after choosing a particular course of action, it is put into action. So, after the selected plan is implemented, it is important to appraise its effectiveness. This enables the management to correct deviations or modify the plan. And this step establishes also a link between planning and the controlling function that I am discussing earlier. Now let's have the purpose of development planning. First is to optimize the use of resources at the right time, and of course without sacrificing the environment. Second is to provide direction in the execution of development programs or projects. Another is to solicit and ensure citizens' participation in decision making concerning their social and economic development. And another is to respond to the requirements of the local government code. So, in conclusion, planning is a major factor in the control of the organization, and it concerns with the future, and this is being used to conserve time. This is also the only way to combat uncertainty. And it is there's a saying that well planned is half done. That would be all, class, for this topic. And for your output, you have to gather data from your barangay as to their income, major source of income of the people, the population, economic resources, tourism potentials, and other relevant data. So based on the data that you have gathered, identify the need of the barangay. And out of this need, create an economic development plan to address the need. Again, this is your professor, Dr. Ferrer, saying thank you for watching all of our videos. Hoping that you enjoyed watching our videos. See you in the next semester. God bless you all.